Oh, Jen, take the morning off tomorrow. You've been coming late. It's 7:04.
Okay, 7:04. All right.
Sorry, I'm late. I got accosted by some youth services committee members out there.
A rough bunch.
They are rough.
All right. Tonight we got Brandon, Lisa, Bill, and Mark Walter here for the meeting. Great. I'm Rob Holstrom. This is the largest meeting we've had since I've started this. So I'm very happy. This is very exciting for me. And we may have Howard Chaffee if
You know what, I'll remind you.
I would like to be a member of our group, but which is not your extra. Oh, sure, the sure is there. So this is Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. How are you?
So we called our discussion. While we're waiting for that, Brandon, why don't you repeat what you talked about, what you're looking into as far as the what is it,
The marathon idea that
the organizations, Children's Hospital?
yeah, so the Children's Hospital in Hartford, I'm going to be meeting with the one that's in charge of organizing events such as fundraising and whatnot. For she manages all the stuff from marathons to, just benefits, things like that. And we're going to be discussing things such as what she can offer us in terms of like guidance and whatnot, what we're looking for, goals and stuff, kind of like in the preliminary plans of like planning things out, figuring out how things work.
Cool, all right, so now that's official, we meet.
All right.
Okay. So. That's the Hartford Children's Hospital, right?
It has a more specific name, I believe, but if you say that, everyone knows what you're talking about.
So I was going, the next item I was going to talk, Bill and I met with the town. Because Mark was the administrator, zoning agent was there. First selectman was there, kind of talk about zoning regulations. It wasn't really a very productive meeting. Kind of things ended up kind of a little bit of a between the first selectman and the chairman of zoning kind of butted heads a little bit. Not really serious, but wasn't very progressive. They kept kind of defending their own positions instead of being a situation where we're looking for solutions. And I didn't hear many solutions. One of the things I did talk about was the zone down here on Route 66, which Howard Chaffee has his place, is whether that we could modify the regulations there to make it easier to do some stuff. There's a couple of regulations I just very picked up on was the rear yard setback is because it abuts as a residential zone. It's 80 feet. You're supposed to stay away from residential, but if you look into the actual what's there, it's basically a steep hill, and then this house is up here, half a mile away, and we're forcing businesses to stay 80 feet from the property line that nobody's anywhere near. So whether we can, something I might want to look into, whether we suggest that, because one of the things was aggravating from planning and zoning type of view, they have this attitude, well, all they do is come and ask. What they don't understand is that I'm a land surveyor, and I deal with developers and stuff. The developer comes in here, look at the regulations, say, these regulations suck, and they go away. They're not gonna waste their time. They're not gonna hire an attorney. They're gonna try to change the regulations. You gotta do things to encourage them. So that was probably one thing not to pat myself on the back. I think there was any suggestion I heard that was anything to do something. Basically, the planning and zoning's point of view was that anybody can do anything if they ask permission. We'll make changes or something. But that's not always.
But will they do it beforehand? Can we make suggestions? We don't do it. Or
Well,
they just say
for instance, we talked about the winery.
Yeah.
Those people went through hell to get that thing approved because there were no regulations. And they have the patience to go through the whole process. They're committed to the town of Columbia, so they got through it. Same thing with the name Moose. He wanted to do something in Columbia. So that's a unique situation. We have people with finances to do something who are willing to, just because they want to be in Columbia. We got to think about bringing people who don't not necessarily want to be in Columbia, but to make Columbia something that they want to come to. So
What is the process to, I know, I probably know, I'm just asking myself the question really, but I guess the process for kind of amending the zoning regulations would be that you'd have to, go through the board of selectmen and then have a town meeting, get your changing regulations.
No, I
no,
think
so
you,
you solve the planning zone.
like how Jaffe could literally request the setback to be changed to planning zone.
Planning and zoning is entirely in charge of the zoning regulations.
Their elected board specifically not to be influenced politically by a politically elected board.
Except they're politically elected.
Right, but they're supposed to be like church and state, where board of selectmen can't tell the planning zone what to do. Doesn't recommend.
That's the tensions.
Yes,
Correct.
That's exactly the lines there. But, you know, if you have a good argument, maybe it's something that can, that's the only, I would like to look into those, into the regulations and find if there are things. That's just one minor one that I know about because I looked at Howard's, where the old restaurant used to. Aventis, we looked at stuff, and he wanted to do something back, and I looked at, well, the building is as far back as you can go. But he has quite a bit of room back there, right? As far as the property line goes, but as far as setback goes, I think it might even be over at this point. I think the setback may have changed since they built that. But anyway, that's just an example of what, how are we doing on Howard? Speaking of Howard,
I texted him and I sent him the link. And when we try calling,
I guess you could. Maybe he's, I don't know, is he a baseball fan? He's watching the Yankees or the Mets or something. He seems like he's always available. If I call him, yes. Then he talks to you for an hour. I called him just to invite him to this meeting tonight. I talked to him for at least a half an hour. Told me all his ideas.
All the time.
I don't know, it's pretty old. The older than I am, sounds pretty old. I don't even.
hey Howard, it's Mark Walter in Columbia. Yes, it. Did you hit that link I gave you? It should. Well, you know what? I'll just put you on speaker right now if you want. All right, let's try that. Okay, we have, Bill. Yes. You're welcome to. You're welcome to come to all the meetings, but you have to be a resident to be on a board or commission. You can go. So you think it's a commercial property council? We have to,
We have to explore that.
I still don't have a definite answer on how, so I'll know that shortly.
Howard, this is Rob. In any case, I mean, you could certainly be a physical member of this group as far as having input and coming to meetings or Zoom meetings, whatever, and put some your input, because this is really not, we're not a, you know, we're trying to group of people trying to help businesses. We're not really, the only thing you couldn't do is vote. And I don't really,
You might be able to be on it though, you know, I'm thinking that it's a property owner, you know, it might be possible.
yeah, it may be. So we'll look into it for sure. But in any case, we'd love to have your input, no matter what turns out.
Okay, what's on the agenda tonight?
This guy Howard Jaffe is going to speak tonight.
Track 66 towards romantic by having the sign say something to the effect that it's the retail district, Columbia Retail District, so that people will know their stores down there. Because otherwise, a hell of a lot of traffic goes down the divided highway on 6.
Yeah,
And I think that's, and the other thing is, the more activity that I can have in my center, with farmers market or even car shows or whatever, it would be an anchor on that part of 66. And then Maine Moose would be the other anchor. And in between, I think that there is a good chance for economic development along that strip, which would also keep taxes down for the residential. I don't know, what do you gentlemen think of that?
well, I think the only question we have is, you're probably putting it on DOT property. Or someone else, it will have to be on DOT property, because you couldn't put another residential or commercial piece. So we'd have to actually talk to DOT. I do know if you look around, I do see signs like that on other highways and roads, so I don't know what the process would be. But I think it might be something we'd have to go through DOT to do. I don't know if there's any zoning signage problems, but we could go to planning and zoning on that too. I don't think it's a bad idea, it's just, I'm not sure exactly how to do it yet, but I think it's something we could look into.
Yeah.
Now, as far as,
And
go ahead.
and also zoning to allow us to have more activities that are at our site, so that we will attract traffic to 66. You have to excuse me, I'm in a restaurant parking lot. My daughter and son-in-law decided to bring my 3-month-old grandson down to Terrytown.
Oh, great.
So somebody just came in with a motorcycle. I don't know, what do you think of my suggestions? I would really like to see economic development on 66 to the town. And we're putting a lot of money into my center. In the next few weeks, we're going to be putting in a lot of landscaping, plants, and having different activities there, which hopefully will bring more traffic to Columbia. So let's say we'd love to get a restaurant in some Leventis. There is no real restaurant in Columbia. And I know Mark has been pushing it. When we had the article in the paper, in the Chronicle, he gave them the encompassing area. What is it, Mark? About 35 or 40,000 people.
Right. I think there's
So
even
that
more.
would be another goal that we would love to have. Because we could have put in a Dollar General, but I would try to tear down from my center. And we want to put those people out of business. You have lovely people in who really nice. So real nice community. This is what I have in mind.
My name is Bill O'Brien. I just have a question for you. You had mentioned that the Leventis restaurant, what's the condition of that building?
We can renovate it for whoever's going in.
Thank you.
Before we, that's fine. It's best in upgrade, not end up by so much. So we figured if we upgrade it, we'll attract, quality decent local tenants.
Howard, you mentioned the farmers market car show. Do you have any specific, something in mind? I mean, like, is there something like, you could say,
No,
have a farmer's.
what I had a meeting,
Yeah,
Howard, I had a meeting with the zoning, enforcement officer, Connie, and with the chairman of zoning. And both, what they said was, to make it an allowed use, you just have to request, we want to do X, Y, and Z, say it's farmer's market, car show, and a vendor market. And this is where, on a zoning map, you say, this is where all the vendors would be, this is where the parking would be, these are the when we would do it, and then it would go to planning and zoning, and they would authorize it. So I think
Okay,
it just has to come in as an official request, like the main moose has to go through the same process.
well, I think once we could just have a car show, it has to be ancillary to a farmer's market, to what, Sue Park and so.
No, I would directly talk to Con, and I think through EDC, we can help you. If you can articulate exactly what you want to have done then, we'll get the language, we'll help you write the language.
Mark, we have we'll get together on some sort of program to start at my end. People, not necessarily only from Columbia, but outside vendors and merchants, so that we can get sales tax in, and we can get the tenants in, for the taxation on their property. And this would help with the tax burden on all the people of Columbia, the residential. So I think if we could do that and get everybody on board, I think it can really become groundswell. We're doing something similar in another area. Only the area has a lot more people, so we're getting larger tenant organizations. But here, I think that if we can, incorporate the school, Eastern Connecticut, and East Con, and everybody else, with the market, where people realize that they can make money there and they can improve the quality of life here. And so it's something to be considered. And we do have another site where if it really snowballs, we can put up another building, according to prior plans. The permit expired. So we'd love to do it. We're going to be cleaning up the area around the pond this fall, so that people can see the pond. And next year, we're going to spend some money cleaning up all of the detritus in the pond, with the algae and everything else. So we're really looking forward to making it a show place or a semi-show place. We won't have as many fire engines as many posts, but we want to make it look nice. We're putting in sprinklers and with grass in front of the center. We're putting in plantings there. And we really want to make it like the start of the shopping strip. And if everybody gets behind it and shows their enthusiasm, I think something may occur. What do you gentlemen think?
well, I'm just like, listen to you, thinking all the stuff that you're doing. What about some sort of like a grand reopening celebration of what you've done at some point? And have some of these things you're talking about, whether it's, I don't know, some sort of vendors or.
Name goes on there.
Well, putting in a whole seating and everything else, and the new plants, which partially are in already. So that, I'd be available to them, and I have to speak to the fellow who's gonna clear the foliage around the pond. And we want to make our sector visible from the nexus of 6 and 66, so people will go down 66 and hopefully help develop that into a strong shopping mall area, you know, for the town. You know, it's strong next to Romantic, but in between it's sparse. That's my view.
Completely free.
So any assistance I can get with that, or any assistance that I can get with that,
Lisa here just mentioned, what's the status of your pond? Would it be possible that that would be a place for ice skating?
who's gonna want about 3 or 4 feet. If the town wants to be responsible, I would definitely make it available and set up, you know, some facilities where people can change into ice skates and everything. We could put up benches, possible shelters for them. But I wouldn't be able to supervise it. It would be too costly for the rents we had.
We already have Columbia Lake as our prime ice skating facility. In Mono,
Maybe a little bit of.
in Mono Pond.
All right, well, whatever. Well, I think, Howard, one thing you have to talk to your tenants. And then come up with a more specific idea, like say, I want to do X. And then we could try to go through and as far as whether it's a car show or a farmer's market or antique show or something like that. So maybe that might be a way to start, you know, talk with her and we can all get together. I think the important thing, what Mark told me, is you gotta have all your tenants on board and your tenants have to have you on board.
I have the greatest tenants in the world. I'll tell you. They're welcome.
All right,
I'm very serious about that. They band together, they help each other, and even with what we're doing, they have to go out of their way as tenants to water some of these plants and everything. I didn't hear one objection. Everybody is on board and everybody is enthusiastic to make the place look good.
how about antique and craft show?
What did you say?
How about an antique and craft show?
Oh, are you kidding?
But I mean, you gotta come up with something. I mean, we're kind of late for farmer's market. I don't know about car shows. I don't know how that works. And
Okay, we can do that. And, you know, show me the way and everything. We're on board.
All right,
We're not looking to avoid those things.
well,
We would love to have them and we'd love to, you know, bring people to Columbia.
why don't you get Sue to spearhead that, Howard, and
Okay, all right, I'll speak to her tomorrow.
good.
And it sounds great. Would you gentlemen mind if I go back to Chris?
no, not at all.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
You can't go, Howard. We want you.
Enjoy your night, Howard.
Yes.
All right, bye.
Bye, Howard.
Much of what the staff was actually asking for is already been proposed back in that, when we were discussing that 3.6 and 3.66 plan.
Right,
Much of what he was talking about was actually involved in there. So,
that's the big cog
Yeah, but that's not,
project.
that's just spend millions of dollars on something that there's no initiative to do anything.
oh yeah, but it's a good,
You know, Jason Lansing architects and those kind of guys made a lot of money and nothing happened. I'm being cynical from where I come from.
you're probably onto something, but I just mean that in terms of like what they were like looking for, it's a similar idea. And there's like some like rough like sketches of That we can at least like build off of, we're looking for like some kind of base ground.
Yeah.
For a way to like approach this issue. Also, I have a quick question about zoning and whatnot. In your time here, whether it be one as you were like the town administrator or beforehand or whatever, what's the most significant change you've seen in regards to like zoning with the regulations at once? Or over,
Probably the sign. Softening the sign regulation was a major hurdle. It's hard to believe that.
From my point of view, most of the changes have been negative.
as the,
I mean, as far as for residential housing, they used to have this crazy regulation where you could put 5 different little 25-foot strips, you could build houses back in the woods, so everybody said the solution to that was, it's not letting anybody do any of that. So they kind of went from one extreme to the other, and then they also made it that to have a rear lot and a residential lot, it had to be 300 feet wide. So I had a client once who had a piece of property that was 290 feet wide and went back 2,000 feet. And he couldn't even get one rear lot. So typically zoning regulations don't make things easier. And that's where I think you need the EBC to say, you know, you guys are missing the boat here. You're actually, you're solving some problems and making some new ones. And that's usually what happens.
and when was the last time zoning regulations were really like, I don't want to say completely rewritten, but like revamped?
They do it all the time. Always making changes.
Well, it's. Normally a regulation change takes over a year, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Because normally they discuss it and discuss it and discuss it and discuss it, and then finally decide to take action.
It's not a quick process.
No,
That's why when you say, well, just come in there and we'll change it for you, it's like, I mean, I don't know, I worked with Wall and Nancy on the winery a lot, they went, it was a long time before they could build that winery. You know, it wasn't like, everybody said, oh, this is a great idea, let's do it, and it took them forever. You can just imagine someone come in who's got, it's controversial.
It's a lot of resistance, one, and it
Well-
will block people off. Yeah.
controversial one, like,
That's a good example, yeah. Down Carsonville, there's a wedding venue that wanted to go in
I think marijuana dispensary.
Yeah, great.
there.
That would go over so well.
Good way to mention that to Howard.
hydroponic plant growing.
Over down there by the edge of town by the Romantic, there's actually zoning's like cleared for strip clubs, so I'm sure the town will love that too. Really is, yeah.
They just knocked on that one,
Strip club,
right?
so Romeo's that strip club.
No, Columbia was able to. In like the codes, there's actually like a cutout, or I believe it was CN2 for strip clubs, that there's actually, that's like the only like area you can have it. Which I thought was kind of unexpected when I saw that.
It's in our lease in that lot.
You know, we have problems with wedding yard. That would be a real.
This will, we'll put that down there.
Surprising.
I enjoyed his comment about the retail district. And I'm kind of jumping ahead to looking for new members, but I really think that if that idea is presented to residents in the area or businesses in the area, you know, what their thoughts are about creating a retail district, right, you know, kind of labeled as a retail district. But you know, but in order to do that, we need to participate in economic development. You know,
We really should have more business people here.
yeah, but if you give them a reason, like, it's almost like an organization that,
Hey, if you want to accomplish this, will you join us and help us?
That'd be a good.
That's a good idea, though.
You're right, instead of, hey, you want to come to a bureaucratic meeting?
And particularly that section there too,
but it makes sense. I can see them putting the sign out there, retail district, it's not gonna take a lot to do it, you know, and. I can tell, you talk about DOT, so I don't know what that bureaucracy is like, but I think we can put up signs, you guys see them all over the place for farm.
yeah, I think there's all kinds of these little brown signs that say winery ahead and different things. And
That's pretty much what the plan is, the master plan. Route 6 concludes that as a retail district. Where does it run from? They call it forward all the way down, or they call
No,
it?
it even goes further up towards the transfer station.
Okay. And by the transfers, yeah.
pretty much just along Route 6.
Yeah. Long six.
This is the problem, they don't go very deep. See, then you get into this situation where you're trying to protect residential from commercial, and that always becomes controversial, anytime you try to do anything.
Well, you got Columbia Ford pretty close to residential, it's right there, how you want that.
They probably did it, spend there long enough, but
It was an auto body place, but it was anyway.
I don't know.
They probably got it all in before something.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it's same with you all, and all this stuff down there. I was actually kind of surprised about the location of the car dealership, for example. I was kind of surprised about it because it's right on top of like an aquifer. So any kind of seepage from anything that they're working with cars, the oils and all that stuff is going straight into the water. So I was kind of surprised that that got a green lit and that did.
I get it. Before.
No, I suspect at this point, they probably, whatever they're supposed to have, they probably have it. It's pretty up to date garage.
You'd have to have a boil water separator for washing.
No, it's just I had worked in the car industry for years during when I used to work in finance, and even the I used to work in it for 4 years, and even like the more like ritzy, upscale dealerships and stuff, a lot of them, especially the mechanics and stuff that, were kind of like in the back, a lot of them kind of skipped out a bunch, seeping into the concrete, all that kind of stuff, so. Just,
Well, we don't want to think about
yeah,
it. That's nobody else's job.
that's true.
Right? We're trying to promote businesses. We don't want to. I won't get into it. But that was one of the problems. Earlier versions of the Economic Development Commission had that problem. They were spending more time hurting businesses than trying to help them. So we have to be somewhat focused that, yes, that's important, but that's not our job. It's somebody else's thing to worry about.
Who has the property across from Colonial Drive? It's like, I call it truck graveyard. Brandon,
Our former chairman of the Economic Development Commission.
like he owns that whole, she owns it. Cause I remember that, the white, my parents used to talk about the white, buildings, with the ice cream parlor.
Yes, when I was a kid, I used to go there.
Yeah. I'm just curious on who.
Yeah, we'd like to see something different there about.
Then she also owned the lands further up, like by the highway too. Yeah.
And she wouldn't be open to talk about it.
Sure.
If it's gonna be a retail district, like
She shot that down, actually,
what?
the retail district,
Oh, really?
it was one of the big ones against it, actually,
Oh, okay.
so.
Yeah, I broke up, three broke on my notes.
I don't think it was some more the rotary. I think.
Okay, gotcha, gotcha.
That whole concept, like she didn't like that concept.
Gotcha.
A lot of people can't, I mean, we take a huge amount of money to accomplish that, so I don't know, although everybody seems to be going to rotaries, so maybe it could happen, I don't know.
Massachusetts loved it.
It's so funny, because growing up as a kid, the rotaries all over Connecticut, you just pick them all out.
Like,
I mean, I remember-
that accident was.
I don't know, but this girl who worked for me, Jamie, she grew up in Vernon, I said, oh, you know what the Vernon Circle, and she knew what I was talking about. Made me feel old. Yeah, that was there was a circle there, but, I don't think you guys know what I'm talking about, and
Or Brian Tracy.
it's right where
Yeah.
Route 30 and 80 and the 83 and the highway all meet right there, that intersection to the circle, that was the Vernon Circle.
I know Glastonbury, every other weekend they have to work.
They're so small.
Yes, small ones are good.
No, it's literally right after number.
My wife hates them. She doesn't like those rotaries, I don't mind. Because actually are quicker.
They're much more efficient.
She likes the whole
And
thing.
they're safer. You don't get T-bone.
Yeah, they actually do work, but they're kind of,
They're scary if someone gets confused.
you have to depend on people paying attention.
Understanding the right of way.
But whatever.
It's an issue down in the Midwest and stuff, actually, currently, they try, I've seen the DOT, well, a lot of those areas having trouble because people don't know how to drive around rotaries in the Midwest and the South currently, and there's a lot of accidents, ironically.
Now, the one other thing that I had on the agenda was, we've been talking about having a marathon or some sort of triathlon or something, and I'm just wondering whether that's too big of a thing to take on, or if there's other suggestions that we could do. I'm assuming whatever we do has to be a rec park. And Mark, what kind of restrictions do we have, what we can propose to do at rec park? I mean, could we just have like Hebron's got, even fairgrounds, and other towns have the fairgrounds where they can do stuff. I don't think we really have a big enough in the rec park. I'm just,
I suggest a giant disc golf tournament, once we open the disc golf.
water some around.
Yeah, I think those dirt bike track anymore.
Actually, we keep buying up enough land behind the transfer station. There is a dirt track.
There's a dirt track,
Privately owned. Neighbors.
Are they looking to do, and, never mind, that's probably off the table. Well, anyways, if anyone had some, like, for instance, I was even thinking about, we could do something colonial, I'm looking at the sign that, I mean, somebody's having Colonial Day on the signs up on Route 66. So,
We
I
have that, we would.
don't know, we need to stop the sign, it's not big enough to know where it is.
They have like medieval times,
That's a regular.
events, they have, I have a friend that literally fights in like medieval battles and armor, everything. I wonder if I know that. So much.
It's pretty there, I mean, it's up, we live in a fairground, it's having that thing, I don't know what they do there.
They have a bunch of small businesses show up and they have a bunch of people show up in all these, medieval garb and all that. They have like the big jousting competitions. It's actually a good event from what I said,
Mhm.
but they went to it. Big exam.
I wonder if they didn't do that though.
I think we have to be somewhat unique. There's already two medieval events.
There's a lot of things that go on, it just seems that nothing happens, we don't have that kind of an event in Columbia. And every town has something they do.
I suppose you guys come up with some kind of a signature, event that you're gonna do.
Right.
Year after year.
Yeah, something that would be,
I know in East Haddam, we used to have the Chowder Festival, that was hugely successful at the Good Street Opera House, the Gelston House, and the Levitas across the street. And all the chowder vendors would come and sample there, but then the Moodist in the town, their restaurants got jealous that the event was held in East Haddam at the time. So we moved it to the Moodist, like Red Park, right by the senior center, and it became a food fair. So we're trying to invite all vendors, and that was successful for a bunch of years, and then it kind of pittered out. And then it became a farmer's market, vendor market, and that was successful for a while and pittered out. And now the airport is having a fly-in. They had 100 vendors at this, it was a couple weekends ago. This is the second year. This year it was so popular that it took you an hour to get across the bridge. Because there was so much traffic that it kind of killed, it like shut down the whole center of town, so it was too successful.
that's the problem, that's the weird thing of those things, you can actually be. That's, I think that probably happens to most of them, if you become really good at it, it becomes too big, you can't, it kills it.
Like,
And I know they used to have the Italian festival in Hartford on Franklin Avenue,
That was the time.
and they used to do that, and then all of a sudden it just got so out, they just couldn't stop it, because so many people go there.
well, you got the boom box parade and, oh man. And I'm sure that gets wild. I've never been to it.
But apparently that must be somewhat under control, because they don't continue. But they have their third Thursday thing they do. Yes.
Yeah. That's big.
Oh, and Chester has first Saturday or first Friday, whatever it is, but we were there for dinner and oh my God, it was packed. But that was their signature. They had bands outside the restaurants, green, and they shut down. So there are ways, but Columbia is kind of all spread out. In your restaurants are mostly on 66 and 6. Well, you have a restaurant on 66? No, they're all on.
We got the.
Yeah, Main Moose is 66. and everybody's very
Thunderbird
Thunderbird is really good. Thunderbird's great. You have to go.
Check it out.
There's a new owner of the restaurant. It's good. Food. Yeah, it's real reasonable and it's.
Maybe next week, I think this spring, okay.
The prices are
You
actually.
do it next week.
I saw them. I thought it was like the prices when I originally saw them. And
You beat that? What do you think? Oh, yeah, that was. Soup's good. Sandwiches are good.
I'm a broke house. Same. They're a bit different.
So I don't know, I think we have to think of something that is Columbia. Whether we have some element of some sort of a competition involved in it. I even thought we could do have a, if it's at rec park, we could run around that, there's a big walking trail there, you can have some sort of a.
Well, we are having a grand opening October 22nd.
Rec park.
Is there still a, race this fall, 5K?
I don't know.
That would be something you could
Incorporate.
and have it. It usually begins and ends there anyway, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I'd like to have like, we have the 5K, we have the dog thing.
What's the talk thing?
there's a dog.
Dog show, I mean, bring your dogs in, that's the show.
Well, I know the history place runs a car show over at school. once a year.
Mhm. Yeah, we have that. Does the town own like a big lot of land?
Rec park, part of it.
And
It's
rec-
vacant, nothing else, they don't own like vacant land,
Yeah.
that's for sale.
so we've got 400 acres in
Open space.
on state park,
Open space.
More than about 600 acres.
600.
And but
But we joined the
Rec
summer.
Park is, Rec Park, you go with Rec Park up to Route 66. Town owns land, except it's not clear, it's woods.
Paintball. Become the paintball capital.
It's like, paintball thing in the woods.
No, that's a goal.
Get all these people.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, my nephew, he's in his 40s, still on the paintball team, plays all over the country.
I think that medieval jousting would be.
With paintball.
No.
You guys,
Medieval jousting.
$5.
That's the first record against the chairman of the planning commission.
we can incorporate the horse farm.
You record,
Yeah. Everybody's really bored and watching ABC.
UConn does have a pretty significant paintball team if we were looking to
UConn.
advertise. Yeah.
Is it like a club?
There's like 70 members, if I recall,
Mhm.
so it's not small. And they all and they all have their own groups of friends and they all do paintball.
Keep thinking of it.
What do they do now?
It's,
They go play paintball.
yeah, there's
Go to places that do
old, old, I don't know, bunkers or cars or.
They set up either as natural things or they set up like giant blow up pillows that you
Yeah.
hide behind it.
Old cars.
There's the place.
Rec Park,
It's actually really cheap.
you can do it in Rec Park in the woods. Yeah. All kinds of woods.
Yeah, it's really when there is a place, it's like maybe a half mile out of the normal, traffic of residential. And you just go and it's great. There's a place in Massachusetts and they were booked for almost 4 months before.
And that's a nice actually.
Yeah.
It's right.
I don't think that-
Well, that's probably what we want to do. Oh, that's really signature Columbia.
Yeah,
No, but it's really good.
Extreme sports. Who's got that?
Well, I think we should have some sort of a sporting event, which is the 5K, that would be something.
that's been done before, it's got a route.
And I think we just want to, we could coordinate some of the events. The Lions Club, they do the chicken barbecue, but that's.
there you had it, some, that's usually
Next
all,
year anyway, but-
yeah, next year.
but
Yeah,
I-
you
Even
could.
the seafood board, board.
Well, they used to have a charter cook-off tied with the 5K run by,
Chili.
yeah, Chili, right, not charter, Chili. I actually got the in favor.
Did you?
Platinum,
Did you?
It
Oh,
was a venison chili,
You were good too, that's good. What kind of chili was it?
venison.
Wow.
My daughter and I were a team.
chili cook-off.
Well, now too, with the new pavilion, it'd be a lot easier because we plug it into the old Lions pavilion with crock pots, wasn't easy. Although we still only have 4 bucks.
So I suppose if you asked, they probably want to piggyback on it because that's a fundraiser for the Lions Club. So we'd have to do something other than chicken. So chili would be possible. And what time of year would you want to do this?
Well, you have to chill in the fall. Fall, can't be hot, you have to wait chill. Or early winter.
Late September, early October?
Yeah, either of those. It's a beautiful time of year for them.
That gives us a year to figure out what to do.
Yeah, because Hebron has their Maple Festival.
That's in March.
Is it?
Yep.
That's probably their signature then. And the Hebron Fair.
Then they have a pumpkin, they have, some sort of pumpkin thing around Halloween. And something about this Colonial Days thing, I'm not sure if that's in Hebron or not, but it's on the road to Hebron, so. But they also signs coming this way too, so I'm confused what it's for. You can't really read, all you can see is Colonial, and you can't, oh, the other right printing is small. You can't see it going 45 miles an hour.
Or do you want to keep brainstorming?
I think we should keep brainstorming this. I don't know, I think the triathlon might be a little more of a. Look, I've looked into it. Like if we had like someone, you go through, swim around the lake and you get on your bike and paddle 20 miles, then you run for 10 miles. I just think that the whole logistics of that would be really
The logistics of that's huge. My daughter competes in the Niagara Triathlon. And just the staging area for the bikes is monsters. All the bikes are set up, you got your water buckets, seeing up your feet. You come out of the sound, you're stripping the wetsuits off,
It's interesting to watch.
yeah, it's a big process.
I did a duathlon about 7 years ago. They ended their police having a class in their bicycles and running, which was fun. But like I say, it does take up a lot of areas of the bikes. You gotta have stalls and everything else for that. But that's involved.
And I just don't know if it would work. I mean, the only thing we have, you could swim around Columbia Lake. You just have a lake swim, I suppose. You just have to have people out there in boats watching for people drowning.
Like, they draw people for a competition of, races, what.
And I like that. I think it would be, unless that's, I don't know, that's. The only problem with the Columbia Lake is it's not near Rec Park, it's not right near Rec Park, so you'd be splitting.
But it's a jog from to Red Park.
Yeah, what is that, Ronald?
You could come out of the water and end at Red Park.
And then, and Rec Park.
Or come out of the, actually, the route for the 5K does go right by Columbia Lake.
But it used to run from Rec Park down,
Sleepy Hollow. or-
Hennequin, and then you would take a right onto, Lake Road, and then 87 to the center, up over the hill, and then back around Rec Park, so you could, have that old route, and then,
But I think running on 87, if we did, but yeah.
if you do it right with police, it's not bad, you can get somebody there, it wasn't bad. You know,
Yeah, like when they put it back, in the back down, the other way down, on Lake Road, it kind of.
It's kind of nice to go through the center of town.
Yeah, I mean, people could actually, along 87 and watch it.
Right. Like our 4th of July. Right.
And whether you want to throw a swimmer on the lake, pick over that, I don't know. I think the 5K.
But that's about a 5K, that loop right there, and then you go by the lake, so you can somehow incorporate it there, or start there, but that loop is, I don't know if it's actually, I think it was a 5K, or maybe just a little more, but, there's a number of results that are out there as far as distance. And all that.
Or you just say it's the Columbia Run, you go from here, you come back to there,
Yeah.
whatever it is. All right, well, I guess that's, at this point, we got time. I think if we're looking at something next fall, we got time, so I think we're looking to add whatever things we can add to it. I did talk to Judy, and she mentioned it might be good to talk to the history group.
Yeah, because right now they're the main dog show, car show. Art show too. I think the senior center is getting big into running monthly artists, showcasing artists in the senior center. So right now, our Pat, our driver, who drives the transportation car, her art is all on Ascension right now. It's pretty impressive.
That's interesting. So perhaps maybe I'll see, I'll see if I'll talk to Judy. And see if I can see what, maybe I can get her to come to our next meeting. And see if we can come up with.
I know
some-
Andrea was always big in car show. I don't know if she still is.
We're really, didn't keep kept it in order, but I think we kind of talked about it. I think Mark's got ideas with Mark. Bill's idea about trying to get new members by kind of talking to the members over on Route 66, the businesses, and see if, we'd like to do this. Could you come join us and help us?
Yeah, you help each other.
So we like to do that. Like, talk to people. All right, we could do that and we'll do lunch or something. Yeah. Okay.
All right, I'll get a hold of DOT, just see.
Yeah, that's really nice, maybe we could put it on the agenda for the, Board of Selectmen to as far as the retail district. Sign off.
Yeah, let me just find out what's involved.
Sure, yeah, I
Could
agree.
be a lot of questions.
Not necessarily the next meeting, but down the road.
Right, okay.
I mean, he has a good point. I mean, you see different businesses have signs up all over the place on state highways saying, all the wine trail all over the place. I mean, that's some special thing, wine trail, but
A brewery would be nice in that Leventis thing there.
Hmm.
And I know the winery's talking about beer, but I didn't see it happen.
last time I went, they said they're gonna have, last time, well, one time, said we're gonna have beer next week, and I went the next week, and they said they're gonna have beer next week, so I haven't gone since.
Is there any expanding brewery around here that's been going right now?
I can find out about that. I'm family friends with the owners of Two Roads. I can see what they're up to currently.
That's your task.
They're a little heavy.
Now, as far as, when you talk to those people, the children's
That would be
hospital,
popular.
we're still in the form, we're not sure, I mean, it probably won't be a triathlon, it may be something else, but we're looking to do something that. Would be bad thing to do. I'd be happy to do some fundraising that should help promote it.
Well, I know, up in. Where's the nuclear power plant? Up in the
Here's what we did.
There's a little town, Seabrook. Yeah, so in Seabrook, they have a brewery called, Smutty Rooms. It's named Seal. And, they sponsor a 5K that my family's running. I have to. And then it ends with Smutty Nose beer and lobster roll.
That's great.
So
Oh,
that's,
not for
that's,
what, for 5K?
yeah, that's a big draw.
Lobster rolls, that's it, we'll do a lobster festival.
We're so close to the sugar.
That was my goal.
Well, now that they're banning people, they don't want people to eat lobster, so they'll have extra lobster to get cheap.
Yeah, I get cheap lobster cheap anywhere now.
Do we have fishing tournaments at all on the lake?
It's interesting.
I don't know. I've never heard of one.
That's a good point. That is good.
Do that,
They
like,
tend to
food
only-
trucks or vendors that the-
One thing with the lake is they tend to only let residents,
Yeah, I think that's the
Oh.
problem.
so attracting other people's boats that have been in other bodies of water.
We gotta be, open ourselves up to.
Do not go over well.
Or maybe they would, maybe only make it non-motor, and then you have to go in a kayak or canoe or something.
They still do.
Smoky Lake's pretty much highly protected. I mean, we never set funds on the beach because we didn't want it. Once you do, you have to open up to the rest of the state. So that's no offense to the rest of the state, but it's not a bad idea because the lake, all the lakes are getting included with the different species and stuff. So it's,
It is a challenge.
Yeah.
It's like immaculate from what I understand. In terms
It's
of
one of the cleanest lakes.
Yeah.
Yes, actually, it's ridiculous, really. So good.
it's hard. And you've had, I mean, stuff gets in, no matter what you do, stuff gets in there just by, bird dropping, drop seeds and stuff starts growing. So we've spent a lot of money fighting back on it. It's not like Coventry Lake or and Pokey Park. Amstel Lake's pretty clear. I don't know exactly what they do there, it seems pretty clear. All right, well, unless anybody else have something they'd like to suggest. Lisa, we're glad, it's great to see you finally.
Yeah, thank you.
And, you know, we'll be here, I'll send out the, I'm sorry about the thing, I sent that out and I didn't realize I didn't attach.
That's all right.
I do it all the time, like, you know, I get the thing ready and I go there, I get so excited, I send it and I forget to attach stuff.
It's fine, my schedule, I was coaching my son's soccer and basketball, and it always was on Wednesday. But that is all done.
We'll go.
Yeah, now he's on travel now, so I'm.
Big one.
That time goes fast, seems like it lasts for the night, 2 sons and went through it, coaching and all that stuff. I look back on it, it seems like it was like 10 minutes.
And I've got about 3 grandsons now, and they're all in town.
It's nice.
They're all little at the moment, but it won't take long.
Mine are for. And
Time to return, 8 o'clock,
oh, this looks like that's it. I don't go over an hour. It's the,
8 o'clock.
we all turn into, I turn into a pumpkin or something. Well, thank you all. I move that we adjourn.
Who seconded the motion?
Would you like to second?
I was,
We all second. Did you take that? You never second.
I did. I'll look.
You're a doll, Mark.
I'm a paid profession.
We stop recording.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carl. Oh, anybody on the line that wants to talk to us? I'm sorry.
Sorry, competitive or two.